Welcome back to the back end of day one. It's been an action-packed day here on Fujitsu Forum TV. We've already brought you 9 live interviews with global thought leaders and subject matter experts from both Fujitsu and our partners. We've also brought you those 2 fantastic keynotes. This morning, President Tanaka and Duncan Tate, head of EMEA region, took to the stage to walk us through co-creation for success, how it's delivering on so many business challenges and societal challenges globally right now. This afternoon, the collaboration economy, Fleur Copping, joined by 3 of our partners from Intel, Microsoft and NetApp. It has been a day full of insight. Next up to share some insight is Dr. Alex Bazin. We're talking IoT. Alex, thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
IoT, for as long as I can remember, and I'm a geek when it comes to tech, for as long as I can remember, it's been a much hyped subject. I believe you've got some research that says we may have just gone beyond the hype and are delivering business impact.
Yeah, so we in October released a State of IoT piece of research working with IDG, where we surveyed 330 business and IT leaders to ask them about the state of IoT. And they said that 75% of them were either fully operational or were in the process of operationalizing IoT within their estate.
What do businesses and technology leaders need to consider when they're looking at IoT and looking to get it into the organization?
First and foremost, it's about what's the business challenge they're trying to solve. What are their key pain points? And what we've found is that that's about 40% of them are looking at defensive pain points. How do they drive operational efficiencies? How do they retain their customers? How do they protect their staff in terms of reducing risk and improving occupational health and safety? The other 60% of them are really looking to the future and saying, how do we grow our business? How do we transform our service models? And so I think that's where the real opportunity to drive top-line growth comes. But both of those are the areas that business leaders need to look at is, what is my pain point? What am I trying to achieve with IoT? And then we start talking about technology.
We've got a lot of chief officers watching this. I think they'll be intrigued by this next point. Some research suggesting that ROI can be delivered fast with IoT. Explain a bit more about that.
Yeah, so I think we're well beyond the days of the 3-year build phase for an ERP system and then run it for 8 years and then do it all again. And you know, that spend-led IT projects. Where we are now is we're seeing certainly a sub 3-year ROI. I think 50% of our survey said that it was between 1 and 3 years in terms of return on investment. A number of industries and a number of countries are really driving towards sub 1 year. So India were way out in the lead in terms of 30% of our Indian survey respondents said we want to see sub-year return on investment. And that's being achieved because you can, if you lead with what is the business case, if you lead with what are my pain points, and you can critically define those ROI metrics up front, you can start saying, well, how do we prove that in our best performing factory or in our median factory to say, actually, we can show the operational efficiency gains here. Now we roll it out to our other 12 factories. And when we roll it out globally, we start seeing additional ROI benefits in terms of being able to compare the factories between each other or shift workloads about. So the ROI benefits sort of stack up as you build that deployment phase.
About leadership, how important is leadership on delivering IoT if organizations are truly going to go and unlock its power?
The leadership from the business in particular is critical. What I think is that this isn't just constrained to IoT. This is all of the research we've done in all of the areas of digital transformation, be that AI, analytics, IoT, cloud. It needs business leadership. What I found quite interesting in this state of IoT research was there was a bit of a split around who's in the driving seat.
Okay.
we found about 40% of the survey said it was IT in the driving seat. This may have been driven by the IT respondents, I would guess. But then 50% said it was either business development or the lines of business. And 10% said it actually lived within the C-suite in terms of ownership. I think in reality it's a bit more mixed. You really need co-leadership from IT to make sure that standards are adhered to and that you have an overall ecosystem of projects that are supportable and maintainable long term. But unless you have that business leadership to really understand what's the business pain point and operationalize that into the business so that it's a part of everyday operations, you won't generate the return on investment. And so there's a balance to be struck there, I think. Does
that mean they have to be working in unison then?
Yeah.
Because a question I've been asking interviewees over the course of the last day and a half is whether the CEO, is he or she involved enough in the decision-making process? But it sounds like it needs to be a team approach then if this is to happen.
It does, and I think across the IT industry we're seeing with the rise of agile, cross-functional teams becoming the standard way of working, or the best practice way of working, I should say. And it is exactly the same in digital transformation. If you don't have a cross-functional teams approach to delivering digital transformation and IoT in particular, you won't unlock the full benefits.
Viewers of Fujitsu Forum TV, and there's a lot of C-suite officers that watch this, they love hearing about innovation. What are we going to see from IoT over the coming years? Where's it going? What's going to be the sexy stuff that we're going to have put in front of us?
I think the combination of IoT and AI is going to be a massive boon to the value of those deployments. So I think a few years ago, most of the projects we were doing were very connectivity driven. They were, how do we connect all of this stuff up? How do we get the data back to somewhere? What we do with the data was always a bit vague. Now what we're seeing is really using that data with AI to drive real-time business decision making. So if 5 people don't turn up to my factory in the morning because they're off sick and I need to replan my production cycle, we've been working on how do you use AI to help say, well, if you want to focus on quality, this is the production plan for today with 5 staff down. But if you want to focus on volume, this is the production plan, plan for today with five staff down. So that AI and IoT in combination is going to be, I think, the really big driver of value.
That's interesting. It sounds like it's moved on a lot just in a year then. Last year's forum, I was interviewing James Maynard here, and he suggested one of the challenges that was out in marketplace was people understanding what they should be accessing from data. I mean, do you think we've progressed and we have a better handle on how we're collecting the data to unlock the power within the business, or is there still work to be done on just that identification element?
There's still work to be done. There's still a level of maturity that we're looking to support customers with in terms of that business understanding of the data. AI and machine learning are incredibly powerful tools, but unless you have that business insight to really understand what value you can unlock, it can be a little bit like looking for a needle in a haystack.
And that's why you need the boardroom and the IT teams working together.
Absolutely. So there's a really great example that we did some work with an oil company in terms of movements onto their petrol station forecourt. So we were doing a whole load of work on classifying the cars that were coming onto the forecourt to do responsive advertising. And one of the insights we got was that in this particular city, all the BMW drivers all filled up on a Saturday morning. And it's, some insight that AI can give you, but it takes somebody who really understands the petrol station industry or the car industry to say, well, what can I do to unlock some value from that insight, rather than it just being one insight amongst hundreds that an AI algorithm will turn up.
I mean, that's fascinating. I could talk about this for another sort of 20 minutes, but final question, if there was one message you wanted to land with viewers today around IoT and making it a success, what would it be?
Focus on the business problem. That's the first and most important thing to do. All of the technology conversations, all of the ROI conversations come from that initial focus on what's the business trying to solve today and in the future.
Dr. Alex Bazin, that's incredible insight. Thank you very much. I'm sure that has resonated with a number of you. If you want to get in contact with Alex or his team, drop us a note on social. We'll facilitate the introduction and get you guys connected. There's still plenty more to come on Fujitsu Forum TV. Up next, we're talking manufacturing. An industry, it's already pumped billions into their factories, but the move from the traditional factory to the smart factory, it requires further investment. How do you balance the P&L with the innovation, keeping shareholders happy? Or is it just a prerequisite of business today? We don't have a choice. We have to deliver the smart factories. We're putting those questions and more in, what time are we at? In about 20 minutes time we'll be live, 5:30. We're talking to the manufacturing team. If you work in manufacturing, spare us 10 minutes. We'll be bringing some insight your way. That's what we've been doing all day here on Fujitsu Forum TV. We're not done yet. We'll be with you until about 6:30 tonight. Stay with us.